welcome to Thank You Half Hour. I'm your host, Tom Christopher Warren, and I am coming to you from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. My first episode fully remote with a remote guest as well, and I'm over the moon about my guest today. This is someone we've just figured out that we've known each other for almost 20 years, which is completely bonkers. She's originally from Toledo, Ohio. I may be wrong with that, but she'll correct me if I am. And we met when she was a senior at CCM, where I had the great honor of working with her there. She went on to immediately make her Broadway debut in Cry Baby, and then went on to appear regionally, leading companies of Little Women and Funny Girl, and then quickly hopped on the first national tour bandwagon with Legally Blonde. But I think most of you probably know her from remarkably leading the national tour of Beautiful as Carole King, and then went on to play the role regionally all over the country, from the Kennedy Center to upstate New York to Utah, all over. Please welcome my very dear friend, Sara Shepard. Sara!
Hi!
Hi! How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty great. Oh, you know what? I skipped on the intro, though, and I want to read it. Some reviews. I know. I don't know if you hate hearing people. I know I'm one of those people. However, to hear it said about you, Shepard is the perfect choice for the role, bringing the same depth and emotion and authenticity as King herself, with every note and lyric serving as a testament to her remarkable talent. Shepard seems to provide a wide-open window into King's soul. She plays piano, sings, and acts her heart out on stage for nearly the entire runtime. A true powerhouse, Shepard's performance is not to be missed. I mean, really that's kind of cool.
That's very kind. Yeah, thank you.
I mean, it's kind, but it's also earned, right? I had the pleasure of seeing you in the role a couple of times, and but we'll get to Beautiful. We'll get to Beautiful. Sure. How are you? Where are you in the world?
I'm good, and you were correct. I am from Toledo, Ohio.
Okay.
I am currently in New York City. I did just get back from Pioneer Theater Company in Salt Lake City doing Beautiful. So I've been back for about a week and change, and good to be home.
Oh, wow. You just got back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But it feels, it's good. I mean, I love it. So it is fun for me to like go away for a bit and do a gig, but then, it's always nice to just come back, sleep in your bed.
Yeah. I travel with my pillow now. I finally learned.
Yes.
Carry your pillow with you.
Yes.
Integral. Yeah. Tell me now, I had the great pleasure of meeting your mom and your sister years ago. And so I have a peripheral understanding of your answer to this, but tell me about your inspiration. I know you grew up in a creative family. Amelia, I know, performs and is a wildly creative in and of herself. What was your, well, let's start with, when did you figure out that this was something you wanted to do, and how supported were you? I suspect quite a bit.
Very.
I'm dying to hear.
I love this. So my mom was an art teacher and then shifted into be a principal in administration. And my dad was a classically trained pianist, but played in clubs around Toledo. So they got my sister and I, and Amelia is 4 years older than me, into the Toledo Repertoire Theater classes, like every Saturday morning. And I immediately was bit. I loved it. We loved it, loved performing. And then it was kind of, I had it on the easier side because I got to sort of see my sister do it. You know what I mean? She sort of she had to go through everything first before I sort of just followed along in the path. But yeah, and she went into musical theater at Wright State. She majored in musical theater. And in high school, I just started to think like, I do think I want to pursue this. I want to go after it. And I was very supported. I mean, both of my parents, they did everything to make it happen. And I always say, like, I was so lucky growing up, like, with a dad that played the piano, because my sister and I would be like, we want to sing. And then he would just like sit down at the piano with the books, and we would just get to sing. I mean, it was like wild. And I'm very conscious of how unique and lucky that is for people, for kids in theater. Like, it's so really cool that we just kind of got to do it all the time. Yeah.
You recently, maybe not recently, but in the last few years, you did a show with your dad, didn't you?
Yes, we put together, I put together this cabaret, and he played the piano, and it was really fun because I sort of centered the whole thing around sort of like major moments in my life, whether that be like who I am as a human or as a theater moment. And one of them was I told them the story of my birthday, and who better to tell the story than my dad because he was there, lived it. I don't remember it, but so it was like it was really cool. Like he played the whole thing, and then he stepped out and talked a little bit. We had a great time, and I'm trying to be brave enough to do it in New York City. I think I should, and it needs to
It's
happen.
time.
I know
It's
it's time. I
time.
just like it's so nerve, but I just gotta like rip the band-aid and do it. Just go for it.
Yeah. There
Yeah.
is something really because I did a show out of town for a while too before I did one in New York, and there is something very liberating and freeing about just fucking doing it,
Yeah.
and then it's done. You did it, and then you can sort of grow from there, learn from that, do it again, not do it again, whatever. But you're not
Like what
weighted
if?
down by the what ifs. Yeah,
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 that is, and I don't want to live like that or with regret. I think I would be upset at myself if I didn't say, "Oh my gosh, we got to do that in the city,"
yeah.
So
Amazing. Did you ever? You say you're 4 years from Amelia. Were you in high school at the same time as a senior and a freshman? Oh
I
no!
know
See,
I
maybe.
always wish we overlapped one year because we both play basketball too, and we would have played. It would have been so cool to play at least 1 year together, and then to like do one musical together. I mean, that would have been cool, but we sort of it was 8 years of the Shepherds at Weber High School.
I was just going to ask, were you given any special treatment because of Amelia?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, honestly, probably, and I wasn't even like
Yeah.
aware of it. Probably. I mean, she did. It just sort of made like a little bit easier. They knew who, and also my mom worked in that school district, so like like they knew the family well,
Yeah.
So, but having Amelia sort of paved the way certainly made my life easier. Definitely.
I love that. So I met you. Well, did I meet you in St. Louis that night? I think I did. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I remember being in St. Louis with the tour of Lion King and knowing that I was going to come to CCM to direct Little Women and meeting Max Quinlan.
Yeah.
Uh, y'all were there doing Les Mis. At the Muni, and I met him randomly we all went out, we're at a bar somewhere, and he said, I'm going to tell you, and I may have told this story when I had Christy on the show, I don't know. So I'm going to tell you who your cast is because it's just the way it's going to shake down. And I laughed because I didn't know any of you. And
So
you
bold.
were somewhere at the bar and he was like, that's your Joe. That's going to be your Amy. That's going to be, and he was spot on. Like it wound up being very prophetic. And I can't remember if he called you over and if we met that night or
I'm trying
not.
to remember too. I mean, gosh, 2000. I can't remember.
That would have been 2007.
2007. I mean, because then you came
Yeah.
in audition. We auditioned in 2007, and then it was all happening in '08. And
Yeah.
can I just tell this? I just will never forget this because this also I was I had that vocal injury, and I went and did the audition with the injury, knowing I had the injury and what we were going to do to take care
Yeah.
of it. And I just remember you writing me on good old Facebook Messenger when it was like only like, I mean, it was so early then.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I just remember you said slow and steady wins the race. Like there is no reason, we don't rush. You don't need to rush this. It's all good. And I think at that point I knew I had got it, which is why I think we were probably
Yes.
communicating like
Right.
this. But
Right.
it meant so much to me that I sort of could like just be free of this like burden and like be panicking that I could just really take that Christmas break or winter break and like just heal.
Yeah.
And I did, and it was like honestly it was just such a freeing experience to know, and you gave
It's
that to me, you really did.
it's so hard as a 21, as a
21.
19, 20, 21 year old to be able to see the big picture, right? To see the forest for the trees and to know that this isn't, yes, it's your senior year. Yes, it's the spring musical. I don't know if it was spring or fall, but it's the most important thing
Yeah.
until it is, right? And to have a wider perspective, to understand the long game when it's coming back from an injury, particularly when you're that young and not fully formed yet, right? You're
Oh
still growing and evolving. And to come back from an injury like that requires a lot of patience.
yeah.
And not everybody at 21 has that.
Yeah, sure.
And you did it right. You did it right. I was so proud of you.
It was like I remember I think I had surgery on like October, these dates will be ingrained in my brain, like October 22nd, and we did our first sing through on January 4th, I want to say, which is like a major, I mean, this
Yeah.
was Joe and Little Women for the people watching. Um, and I
Yes.
remember thinking, and I did it, and I was so proud, and it felt great, like good. And then I remember thinking the next day, like, I can't do that again today. And that's okay. But like I
Yep.
was just that much more aware of my instrument, to be like, I am fatigued because I've just worked really hard for 2.5 hours and I haven't been able to do that in 2.5 months, 3 months. So that was a whole just great learning experience. And that has stuck with me all these years still.
It's funny because that's the phenom of TikTok and Reels, and where all of these artists are coming on and sort of explaining the trajectory of what it means to do 8 shows a week, what it means to be in a long running show, what it means to come back from an injury. And you all didn't really have those resources because socials were
Right.
very different, they were brand new. And now kids scrolling really have a deeper understanding of what it means to navigate life as a working actor,
Mm.
beyond, I think, Smash and Glee and the fame of it or the fun bits. We're really starting to see artists come out and be honest about, I watched one the other day about stage dooring and expectations of stage dooring. And I think that's great. I think young actors jumping into either looking for a school, for a training program, or coming out of a training program, they really have more resources now to fully understand this is not for everyone. And that's okay.
Yeah.
This is hard.
Oh my
This
gosh.
is,
Yeah, it is. It's a beast. And it's like your whole body, and it's not like you just only work the 3 hours you're at work or 2.5 hours. It's like
that part.
sometimes it's twice a day, but then rehearsals and like everything you do, I feel like in the day is revolves around what you're about to do at night. Like it's a, yeah.
And you, like me, you've covered, you started
Oh yeah.
your beautiful journey with the show Beautiful, covering multiple roles. And how you navigate your day depends on what you're doing that night, which role.
100%. Yeah. And sometimes it didn't, I mean, because I was the dance captain for that production too. So, sometimes I'd be in rehearsal for 3 hours and then they'd be like, and you're on for Carol tonight. And you'd be like, okay. But you have to figure out how to like, just like mentally, physically get your head wrapped around the task at hand. And you just get better. I mean, that takes experience. You just get better at that the more you do it. Um, but it is hard. It's not an easy task, but I loved it. I loved covering. I loved being able to play a bunch of different roles, and having it, not doing the same thing 8 shows a week. I loved
Yeah.
mixing it up
Yeah.
personally.
You don't get bored. I mean, the trade off is I find, I'll speak for myself, I don't find that I have ownership of any of my roles because I don't do it enough for that.
Yeah.
I can't, there's no room for me getting complacent or cocky. If
Comfortable. Like,
no,
yeah,
no. If
totally.
there is not one brain cell tracking like what's hanging above me, who's around me, whose way am I in, then I will end up getting hurt or getting someone else hurt. And it would be
Oof.
nice to have the luxury of total comfort,
Yes.
but I like the trade off.
I know. I'm with you. There was something about when I finally, when not, I don't mean to say finally, when I had the opportunity to step into her shoes, Carol's shoes full time, there was that. I mean, it was like so amazing to actually like feel like she was in my bones, after a certain point, which
Yep.
you never, no matter how much you do as a cover, will never really quite feel that. So you're right. It's like there's perks on both sides for sure.
I'm sure you've been asked this question 100 times, but you've now played the role in multiple companies, right? With multiple
Yeah.
producers, multiple acting companies, multiple crews, multiple orchestras. Does each one have its own sort of vibe, its own personality, different audience bases? How is each company sort of varied from
So
another?
it's interesting. Feel like this I feel like there's a couple answers. In some ways, the show feels just like the show to me. The heart, the music, no matter where I am or doing it, and the ride for me feels like the ride.
Yeah.
Um, I may be standing in a different spot, wearing a different costume, looking in different eyes, but like that is also what sort of keeps it fresh and fun, is like whoever I'm speaking to, like, that's obviously you're getting something back different than from when I did it before. Audience bases, yes, different. Like I would say, like I just played Utah.
Yep.
And I've done it twice in Utah now. I did it at Tuacahn and Salt Lake City. And both times, like all of the storyline sort of around the early pregnancy is really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Just some of the just where jokes land better. It's funny. There's the New Jersey joke in the hospital scene that never will quite land as well as it does in New York City. Like we try, but it's just not as funny somewhere else as it is
Yeah.
here. So, but also in the same sense, like I can look back on different productions and I do feel like, oh yeah, I remember like there was a certain vibe about that particular production because of what that director brought to the piece, or
Mhm.
but overall though I would have to say the show always just sort of feels like the show. Yeah, to me, the
And you've
same
been with
heart.
us since the beginning.
Yeah, since 2013.
Good Lord.
Crazy, but so cool. Like I mean, I don't know if I could ever say that I have been, like a show has been with me for that long and that consistently. It's not like, I've bopped around. I've really basically done that show for the last decade for the most part, which is wild.
I get it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah. Oh
wild.
my God, of course, duh. Yeah, you've been with Lion King how
But
long?
also, 22
Yeah,
years. But like, it does feel like time has flown. Like, it really hasn't felt like I've been weighted down with decades of, mundane anything. It has soared by.
yeah,
And, as you said, you find your ways to keep it not boring,
yeah,
keep it fresh. And yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
yeah. It is. It's like, and I feel grateful, and I wonder how you feel about with Lion King. Like, I'm like, wow, I'm so grateful that I am like sort of attached to this show that is such a great show. Like, like those tunes, I don't get after hearing them this many. I'm still not sick of them or sick of singing them. Like, it's like the
No.
biggest joy. And then just to be able to like play her arc is so special. I don't think many actors have that opportunity all the time to be able to do that. So I feel really grateful for that.
She's the soundtrack of so many people's childhood, adolescence, young adulthood, marriage. I grew up listening to Tapestry because my mother listened to Tapestry.
Sure.
And so many, I'm by no means alone, right? So many people consider her music to be the backdrop of their growing up experiences.
Yeah.
And that's remarkable. That is
Yeah.
remarkable.
Yeah. It feels
It's
like,
also a well
oh,
crafted show.
yeah. Oh
Like
my,
as a
yes.
theater piece, it's very smart.
Yeah. How it moves. Like, I mean, really, like, yeah, all the transitions. I think we were, because when we were teching, they were, this last time, they were like, I think it's like 26 set changes or something in the first, or scene changes in the 21st, or in the first act. But it's just because it moves like cinematically. So
Very.
and like I think the first blackout is at the end, or how it was originally staged, I should say, is at the end of Act One. It's just like, and then you're like, all right, we'll come back for more. But it is, I do think it is crafted beautifully. I think also for like a jukebox musical book, it's one of the
Yeah.
best, if not the best. Funny, heartfelt.
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you, Doug McGrath. RIP, we love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding. No kidding. I want to know I had John Riddle on the show. Did you go to school with him or no? He was not
We didn't
in.
overlap.
Yeah,
I think I just missed him. I think I
yeah,
was,
maybe.
yeah, the year I graduated the year
Yeah.
before he came in.
I have the same question for him because I don't know why it speaks to me so much, but I know that you cut your teeth at the Muni. And
Mm,
I know that, like PCLO or these other summer stocks that have a largely university age ensemble, these kids, I'll call them kids, show up and spend a summer working their asses off and really looking up to the people that come in for the job in for the principal roles. And you've gotten now to see that from both sides. And
but
you coming in as Carole King, being the role model for all of these young artists. Were you able to clock that? Was that something that you were aware of?
I think so. I just it was important to me to like because at the Muni they'll bring in. We didn't have Muni kids in our production, but we did have some Muni teens, and and obviously the ensemble is mostly college kids, and also now they have people that aren't even in school anymore that will come in the ensemble as well. But
Yeah.
I did just feel like it's important to I, everybody's job is as important as mine. Like I can't do my job if everyone else isn't doing theirs. You know what I mean? And it does this show too in particular is like it's such a team. It's just a team thing. I think you could say that about any show, but so it was just important to me to like acknowledge the teens too. Like they're much of a part of it as we are. Um, so I don't know. I always just feel like we're all equal in these things. And having been, in the ensemble, and I'm still in ensembles, and
Yeah.
covering or whatever. And you just want to feel like, you're as much of a part of the gig as any of the principal cast or yeah, because we're all of our jobs are important.
You've always led with grace, though, right?
Well,
You like even in college, and I think we were very lucky in with Little Women in that it was a small ensemble
yeah.
company, and no one part is bigger than another, and everyone from sophomores to seniors handled their role in the company, actors, musicians, everybody, um, with equal grace. I thought we didn't have any as an outside director. I didn't clock any outside
Like
service.
hierarchy or something. Yeah.
No
Yeah.
clicks, none of that. So my experience with you in college was that you led with grace, and you have to agree that when you're the title role, there's a responsibility there because it does trickle down.
Well, I was just gonna say that it is the trickle down effect. And
Yeah,
sometimes I think about this like when we were on the beautiful tour, um, it was a Cedar Five tour and the talent was incredible, but it was just what was the most challenging was the schedule. And we were
yeah,
in theaters that sometimes didn't fit our set. So like
yeah.
genuinely, we're doing split show weeks, sometimes four cities in a week, and you'd be like, oh wait, what? We've cut now this on the stage, so well, I'm just gonna pick an entrance. I don't know. It's not gonna. No one will know the difference, but I'm just gonna enter here.
Yeah,
But like
yeah.
those, I think in hindsight, like I think back, and I could have been like, I don't know, like moany about or like
Sure.
whined about. But I'm just like, the thing is, we're gonna do it. We're gonna so like, why not have a good time doing it? Like, we still get to do what we love. Yeah, sure, this is maybe kind of annoying, but we're safe. We're gonna do it, and we'll have a great time laughing our way through it. Because honestly, those are also the best stories. Like when you get off the road, you're like, do you remember when?
Always, always.
Yeah, like so. I don't know. I'm just like, we're gonna get through it anyway. Let's have a great time. I just feel like.
One of our little our Pride Rock operates on a track like a toy train, right? With a it used to be on a joystick, but now it's operated differently. But it goes around the stage on this track, and the track shifts like a toy train will because of these flippers that shift and sends diverts the rock in a
Yes.
different direction. Well, one of the flippers broke yesterday, and so we had to do the show without Pride Rock.
Okay.
And we happen to have a resident dance supervisor right now, Kellen Stansel, who's remarkable, and he rehearsed us a bunch of contingencies months ago, a bunch of things that go wrong with some regularity. Like, what if this has happened a number of times? Let's
Have
actually
a plan.
codify it.
Sure.
Yeah, and worked with our lighting department, who then cued those contingencies so the light matches the physical contingency. So I
Okay.
went out last night to watch Circle of
Fierce.
Life.
Yeah.
I mean, fierce. I
Fierce.
went out and I watched Circle of Life and I started crying because it was a group of people who were all on the same page and who were all like, listen, we're doing it on a flat deck. And so that means that this has to be a little more
On.
on point. Yeah. And the fact that it was lit beautifully, it was fabulous. And then I told you we had an 11 a.m.
Yeah.
show this morning, and it was the same. They haven't been able to fix that flipper yet, obviously, because the turnover was too short. So we did the
Yeah.
same show, and a house full of um, students, largely students of color, watching this show. seeing themselves represented as royalty on stage. I mean, just like ugly cried the whole. I know you know me. I'm a crier. I cried everything. But this was really. It was a reminder of why we love what we do. Right when it gets mundane, it is hard work, and you're doing if you're doing split weeks, that's hard work.
Yeah.
And then you get a reminder. You're like, oh yeah,
Oh
this
yeah.
is also really important, especially when the world is, sort of falling apart around us. Is it frivolous to come on a podcast and talk about theater, or is it not? And my feeling is maintaining the normalcy where we can is sort of the responsibility we have, balanced with helping the world not to be a complete dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And doing all of those other things that we have to do to, get our voices out there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well said. Yeah, it is. It is so important. I feel like for our own souls, for the world, just to keep this alive and, like you said, maintain like what we can while we can. It's just
Because we
important.
really thought it was going to be over after like mid COVID, like early COVID
Oh,
during the lockdown. We are like, oh, well, that's it for theater. There were articles on Playbill about, is theater dead? Is commercial theater? And I'm like, that can't
that's how. I mean,
possibly.
that's
No.
it feels so like. How could that be possible? But the reality was we didn't know. I
Yeah.
mean, it was scary, scary times. Or at least, I mean, even if it was back, you'd be like, but I still have no idea when I will get a paycheck to ever do this thing again, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
crazy.
What inspires you now? Where do you look for your inspiration?
Wow. Oh, deep. What inspires me now? Honestly, I don't even know if I like look for I think I just which is maybe not great. Maybe I'm not proactive about this. I, I feel like you know what I mean? I don't know, but when I go to the theater and I see a performance or I random I don't know, quotes, things that but I
Yeah.
just feel like it's things that I'm not necessarily looking for. They're unexpected, but I just sort of keep me going. I am trying to do things though more for myself and not for the gig or the audition, like just like singing more to remember that I love it, that I
Yeah.
don't have to necessarily like learn 16 bars for this thing. Like I also do just love to sing. So I could do
Yeah.
that for myself to be inspired, but just remember like cuz it does get mundane when you as we all know in this industry you hear no so many more times than you hear yes. So sometimes you fall out of love with it a little bit. But to do those sort of things for myself reminds me like, oh yeah, keep going, just keep going. You're in the right place. It's just everything has to align for it to.
It does. It does. What do you have you're looking forward to coming up? Are you going anywhere? Yeah.
I just found out I am gonna do cats. I think we can say this. It's not actually. Can we say this? I'm gonna do cats somewhere.
Okay. And you'll tell me when we're offline. That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I just think, yeah, we'll talk offline. But I'm gonna
We'll
do that
unpack it
somewhere.
later.
But
Yeah.
I say that though because I'm just so excited to sing, just to do something new.
Yeah.
And I keep saying this, and it sounds so weird, but to sing a song that like forwards the plot, that like has acting involved, because with Beautiful, it's like very much a play with music. These
Sure.
songs, you're not acting the lyric, you're auditioning the tune to be bought or whatever. There's little
Yeah, but you're
moments.
acting the lyric.
Yeah,
You're always
but
storytelling.
but that's like not what the
I know.
song is doing in the
Yep.
piece. So anyway, I am like dying to get back to sort of that like musical theater roots of like
Yeah.
acting a tune. So I'm pumped about that. That'll be fun.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
And you've not done that show, right?
No, never.
Wow.
Yeah. So it'll be very cool. I'm
I
pumped.
remember texting Christine Smith during when I saw you were you at CCM with Christine?
No, I'm older than her too. I'm really just older than all
Bonkers.
these people.
Time is a construct.
Truly.
I was watching the show and she was in the revival, and I texted her, "Why are you all so mean to Grisabella?" And I was sort of being flippant about it, and she immediately responded, "Because she betrayed the tribe." It's like, oh,
Wow.
okay,
Well,
okay. Like the dramaturgical mythology behind that show for the acting companies is deep and legendary. And that's very cool that you get to be a part of that.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And which is also like cool to know. I feel like when you're playing Cats, like it sort of has to be. So you're like, I would imagine, you know what I mean? The dramaturgy of like what's actually happening in this
Yeah.
piece. So that's like cool to hear. I can't wait to
Because
like,
it's not straightforward in the
no,
lyric.
right.
necessarily.
Yeah, I agree. Dude, by the way, did you see the one off Broadway?
No, I wasn't in the city at any point to be able to see it. I heard it was mind blowing.
It was beyond. Yeah, it was so good. Anyway, very pumped.
I see something like that and I watch with two brains. The one is furious that I couldn't have come up with that idea, like just filled with rage that whoever sort of metamorph this concept. I'm like, why can't I be that smart? I'll never be that smart. And then the other part is watching it and enjoying every second. I felt that way at Great Comet in the Tent.
I saw it in the tent too.
I was like, I'm never directing again. I'm never even speaking.
Throwing my hat. Yeah, throwing the towel. I mean, yeah. Oh yeah, that. I mean, I hear you because you're just like, what's the point? They just did that. What?
Oklahoma, the revival of Oklahoma did that for me too. It was polarizing, very, very polarizing, and I thought it was stunning.
But that's great theater too. I think it's like for people to have an opinion, whether they like it or not. At least they thought about it. Yeah.
100%.
So cool.
Oh my God, is it really? Yeah, I have to wrap us up. I know. Thank you, half hour, right? So I have to.
5-minute call. Just kidding.
Is it Lion King half hour? Because we're pretty much 7 minutes late.
Yeah,
every time. I guess most shows are though 7 minutes late, right?
It's true. Yeah, we got to let the people in, get them in. Yeah,
we do. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's just so great to see your face and catch up. It's been way too long. I miss that smile and that laugh. But I'm so grateful for you sharing your stories with me.
Thank you. This was so fun. I think my soul needed it more than I knew. That was so fun. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you. I love you. And thank you, half hour.
Boxland Media. Think big.